You fine, girl. Okay, we are live. So you can go on the page now. And we're gonna go ahead and get it shared. Perfect. Do you see it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see. I clicked on it. It's not letting me share.
Okay, I just shared it on my page.
So I'm going to copy the link, not necessarily share it.
No, you should share it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, where it says right post, I guess. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect.
Shared it.
I just want to make sure. So come on in, guys. Welcome. We're just waiting a couple of minutes, getting everything together for our new author. Perfect. Yep. Gotcha. So welcome. So you're excited?
I am. Yes. This is finally here. A beautiful thing. A blessing.
Yes. Good.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being an amazing client and excited author. And yeah, we love it. We all about it. Absolutely. So we're gonna wait one more minute or so. So perfect. I wish I had like a commercial or something to play. I need to do that.
Soon.
I know that'll be cool.
I think that would be a really good thing for your business, your ministry.
Or yeah, let me stop playing with stuff before I turn the whole video off. Perfect.
I always wonder, do I look at the camera? Do I look at you?
I think it's totally up to you. It's weird when you look at the person because you're looking down, but welcome everybody. We're gonna go ahead and get started here. Well, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Megan Pinkney. I am CEO and founder of Joseph's Ministry LLC, and I am the proud friend, proud publisher of our new author, Ariel Scott. Woo! And we are here to kind of to discuss her book, her new book that is coming out, and everything that she has going on regarding her book and in her very life, and just kind of just have a discussion about what's going on with the topic of insecurity. So you didn't come here to see me or talk to me, so I want to go ahead and dive in. And Ariel, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So tell the people, before we talk about your book, tell the people a little bit about yourself, some of the amazing things that you have going on, and some future things that we can expect from you.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, my name is Ariel Scott. Like she said, I am a kindergarten teacher, and I have been teaching for the past 14 years. So it's been a little minute, but I enjoy it. I'm also an author of my second book, which is exciting why we're here today to talk. I'm a minister, I was ordained back in 2015. And then on top of that, the one thing that I love this the most is I have a wonderful nonprofit called Seven Pearls. That caters to the young girls between the ages of 6 and 12. So I'm just so excited about that. That has been like something that has been brewing inside of me. We had our first conference right before COVID hit, and I had so many girls that came out. So hopefully you guys will see me again in 2022 with another conference.
Yes. Perfect. So we're here to discuss your book.
Yes. Come on.
Awesome. So how long did it take for you to write this book? Why did you even want to write this book, especially on this particular topic?
Okay, so I'll answer the first question, how long and then why. So it did not take long at all because my wonderful friend and publisher told me, yes, that's Megan, told me to just jot down my story, just keep writing. I also had another friend, he as well told me to just keep writing your story, because as you write your story, it becomes more real to you. It becomes something that sits on your heart. So it doesn't become scary telling people about yourself, and that really helps. So to answer your question, it took like maybe not even a whole year to write the book. The book was just sitting there because God told me not to release it, and I'm very happy that I didn't, because it gave me time to grow and to become more aware of who I was. Going back to my wonderful publisher friend, she told me never to release a book until you have healed from whatever it is that you're talking about. And so, not to say that I'm perfect and I have it all together when it comes to insecurities and walking in purpose, but what I can say is now when I'm in a situation that triggers a type of insecurity, I know how to pinpoint it and I know how to call it out and get over it. And so to your other question, like, why did I want to write a book about this? Insecurities can be like kind of not attractive. Like nobody wants to say, hey, look at me, I have an insecurity with this. Am I beautiful? No, nobody wants to do that. So for me, it was really hard to even start to say those words. I have an insecurity, right? But the more I began to say it, the more I began to realize what it was. I was like, you know what? The things that plagued me the most, the things that I hated about myself the most, are actually the things that got me to purpose. So even if I go back a little further, when I started writing the book, it was all about insecurities. And I was like, wait a minute, there has to be a silver lining in this, right? It has to be something that makes people say, how do I get out of this? And so I started looking at all of the things in my life that I was producing and the things that God was allowing me to walk in. And I was like, wow, God, you use this for my good. So that's the reason why the book is called The Plague of Insecurities, Fighting My Way Towards Purpose, because there was purpose in that.
Wow, that's a mouthful. That's a lot. That's a lot. And so many questions come to my mind, but one of the first questions is, how do you define insecurity? So many people can think of so many different things as it relates to their own lives, but when you wrote this book and as it relates to your personal journey, what does insecurities mean to you?
An insecurity is anything that keeps you from moving forward in purpose. Whether that purpose may be you, like myself, writing a book. It can be something as small as, you know what, I'm going to cut all my hair off because I want to feel free in who I am. Or maybe it's like, oh, I want to go back to school, but maybe I'm in my 50s or my 40s. That's an insecurity. So an insecurity is anything that keeps you from moving forward, anything that makes you become stagnant in your own thoughts and your own will to want to move forward, to me, is insecurities, are insecurities.
So how does that relate to fear?
To fear.
Yeah.
So insecurities and fear are closely related. So we know fear is a good feeling, right? Because it allows us to know something isn't right, step back, wait a minute. But sometimes when that fear paralyzes you, and I talk about that in the book, that insecurities, it's almost like something that can take over and paralyze you, which fear can also paralyze you and make you feel like, I don't want to think about this, I don't want to do it. It makes you push things to the back of your head. So when you couple insecurities with fear, those are two two things working together that keep you away from walking forward. It's something as simple as just saying, hey, you know what? I want to go talk to other people. I want to meet other people or be more social. But because of your fear of what they may say, what they may think about you, it keeps you away from networking and talking to people. If a person has a business and they're like, hey, I really want to get out there and get my business. I want people to know more about my business. If you're fearful of what people may think or say about your business, then no one's never going to know about your business. So that's how fear and insecurity come together.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. So does everybody have insecurities?
You know, I know that there's people out there that say, I don't have insecurities. I'm good. I'm okay. I've always been confident. I've always been the one that's right there in the front. But actually, to tell you the truth, I choose to believe that everybody has insecurity. If you think about depression, right? Everybody deals with some type of depression. Some people it may be severe, some people it may be mild, some people it may be a place where they go in and out, right? But we all deal with depression in some type of way. It may be something happened in life to cause us to go to that deep place, but we know how to bounce back. So when I think about insecurities can jump on anybody. It can be something as simple as that person that you know is very bold and they love being talkative and they love being the person that's in the front, right? And you can say, man, they don't have any insecurities. It's no problem for them to get up and talk. But maybe the reason why they're talking is maybe closely related to a seed that was planted a long time ago in their life, where somebody said, hey, you better get up and speak. You can't let nobody think that you don't have a voice. And so in their mind, they're thinking, I always have to be the first one to speak. I always have to be the first one to talk, because I remember my grandmother, I remember my father saying, you better lift your head up. You better talk, because if you don't talk, nobody's going to see you. And right. So that's why insecurities can plague anybody. It can come on anybody. It just may show up in a different form, in a different light. And then that way, when you can pinpoint like, hey, although I do like to talk a lot, although I do like to lead a lot, maybe you're doing that because you don't want to look weak. So that could be an insecurity.
Wow. I mean, we can sit here all night and talk about the various types of insecurities. But my question is, how do people, once you identify that, man, this area, I do this particular action because of an insecurity, how do people get over it? How do people get healed from it? How do they move on and get unstuck from it?
That's a great question. And I talk about that in the book. I'm just going to talk about it just a little bit. The one thing I want to say is that you have to be willing to acknowledge your insecurities, right? If you even talk about someone that says, hey, I really want to lose weight, or, hey, I really want to start this business. First, you have to acknowledge it, because if you don't acknowledge it, you can't move forward in it. After you acknowledge it, you have to be willing to accept it and take hold of it. And some people might say, well, why would you want to take hold of an insecurity? No, when you take hold of the insecurity and you begin to name that thing, you begin to understand the why behind why you're acting like that. An example of that for me, once I began to take hold of it, I was like, you know what? Sometimes I really don't like looking in the mirror. Why is that, Ariel? Why is it that you don't like to see your face? Why is it that you feel that no one feels that you are pretty? Well, I had to go back to my childhood, and I talk about that in the book, how little things were planted in my life, little seeds without me even knowing, without me even understanding. They were planted in my life that caused me to think that I wasn't beautiful, to think that no one saw me, right? So once I did that, I was able to begin to take on the ownership of saying, you know what, Ariel, you are enough. You are beautiful. Once I start to believe it, and once I started to see it, other people began to see it. Someone once told me one day, they were talking to me and they were like, hey, I just think you're a wonderful person, and I think you're so great, and I just want to be able to love you the best way I can. And I said, you know what? You can love me all day, you could think I'm a great person all day, but until I believe it, until I know it, until I believe what God says about me, not what everybody else says about me, but until I embrace it, that's when I begin to walk in healing. So you have to do that, make those action steps to say, hey, this is what it is. Even to add on to that, going back to that insecurity, I remember I was at work one day when COVID was happening. We were on Zoom, and I work with a lot of smart, educated teachers, and sometimes it can be very intimidating to be around those teachers and hear the way they speak, right? And so I remember in one PD, there was a question asked, right? And at this time, I was just like, I don't know the answer to this. Please don't ask me a question. And the person leading and facilitating said, hey, Ariel, I have not heard from you. Can you answer X, Y, and Z, right? And in my head, I already knew that I didn't know the answer. And I was like, I gave her some lame answer that had nothing to do with what she wanted to hear, right? And immediately I was like, I went back to those seeds that were planted when I was a little girl. And I was like, you're stupid. You're dumb. Like, why are you even trying? You shouldn't even be a teacher. So immediately in that moment, I had to take hold of that insecurity. I had to acknowledge it, and I had to accept it, and I had to say, no, Ariel, no, you're here for a reason. There was people, my mother didn't think I was even going to make it through high school, let alone get my master's and even teaching. But God allowed me to go through my own, travel my own road to get to where I was. But in that moment, I had to start saying good things about myself. I had to speak positive affirmations over myself. So to answer your question, because it was long, it's all good. I'm giving good stuff. Is that you have to take hold. I mean, you have to acknowledge it. You have to take hold of it, and you have to speak positive affirmations over yourself.
Absolutely. That was so good. And I'll add on too, it's not just a one-time thing. You may have to do it several times a day.
Yeah.
Several times a minute, several times an hour. You know what I mean? And it's a daily thing. And that's something that I have to remind myself. It's all about what we say to ourselves. There's life and death is in the power of our tongue.
Yeah.
And what we say is so key.
Yeah.
I heard someone say recently, we are born looking like our parents, but we die looking like our decisions and what we say, what we think. You know what I mean? So it's like, wow, that is so important about how we see ourselves and what we say over ourselves. So no, this is spot on. And I honestly believe that everybody, man, woman, young, seasoned, old, whatever, can benefit from your stories and the testimonies that you share in your book. Speaking of that point, who did you write this book for? What's your
everybody? Any and everybody, because I believe that if you are a person that sees that title and immediately says, I don't have no insecurities, you're dealing with pride. Period, point blank. Because again, if someone said, hey, this book, and I get it, some people deal with certain things more severely than others. I totally get that. But my pastor or my bishop once said something. If you hear somebody say something, listen to what they have to say. And even if it doesn't register with you at that moment, take it, put it on the shelf, and use it for later. So that's why I say this book is for any and everybody, because everybody at some point in time in their life has dealt with some type of insecurity. If everybody was so good and we had it all together, we would have people doing so many more things than what they are doing. You know, that saying that says the richest place in the world is the grave. And those people that are in the grave are there because they were afraid. Going back to what you said, they were afraid. And so they continue to walk in insecurity. Even what you said earlier with our words form our reality. And if we don't speak into that thing, if we don't believe that thing, and even if we say, the one thing I'm starting to take hold of is we can say things in hope, but when you say things in faith, it begins to change the trajectory of what's going to happen for you. Because even with the book, when we first talked about it, it was like, yeah, Maybe I'm ready. I don't know. But it was something that was released into the atmosphere. It was something that was said into the atmosphere. And I truly do believe that God took hold of that. And so that very thing began to rise up in me. That very thing began to work in me to where it came out. And who cares if somebody thinks that, oh, my story may not be worth telling? That's okay. It just isn't for you. And that's totally fine. Maybe getting the book, you can help somebody else out. Come on. You know, I was even listening to the news the other day, and they were saying young girls between the ages, which is in my age group, which is so sad, between the ages of like 9 and 14 are dealing with severe depression because they're looking on Instagram, they're looking on Facebook, they're looking at all these social platforms, and it's creating this reality in their mind that this is what it should be.
Right.
That's creating an insecurity. That's planting seeds in their life to tell them that they're not enough. They're not beautiful. They're not this and they're not that. But if we as women or even men can say, hey, I acknowledge this. How can I give this book to someone young who could read it? Because it's an easy read. It's not like super thick at all. And it can be something that can help them along the way.
Yeah. And I think it goes so much deeper. I mean, I think like insecurities is just to start the conversation, but we really have to dig deep and really get to those seeds, like you talked about, and just root those up. Because if not, you're going to be creating a cycle and generations. It's just going to just continue. And we don't want that. We want people to be healed. We want people to be whole and live life. And you wrote it because you said you're fighting your way towards purpose. There's purpose on the other end of it, on the other side of your healing of insecurities. There's purpose, right? So with your fighting your way in your own experience and your own testimony in your own life, how has you getting over the hump and acknowledging insecurity, say, hey, this was an issue for me. I acknowledge it. You know, I'm working through it. I'm fighting, because it didn't say I fought. It didn't say I fought my way. It says I'm fighting, ing. So this is something that's current, that's happening now, right? So how does that look like as far as fighting insecurities and going towards purpose? And what does that look like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I look at insecurities and fighting your insecurities, it's almost like Paul. I always bring him up. It's like that thorn in your side. Like God allows you to have that thorn in your side because it allows you to remember, how can I draw closer to him? We are overcome by the words of our testimony, and those words can speak life and understanding into people to help them break out of where they are. But if I don't understand that thing that's on the side of me that I don't like, that just makes me mad, is there for a reason, but it's also there to help me to get to where I need to be, I begin to say, okay, this is what it is. How can I use it? For example, for me, the one thing that I always keep in my mind, and I always tell people, is I'm going to use the very thing that the enemy used to kill me, to kill him. Meaning that the things that I'm dealing with in insecurities, if it's how I look, how I feel, what I think about myself, okay, well, bet I'm going to start a nonprofit for these girls. Even the last month or so, I've been working with 2 young girls on a poem about being bold, brilliant, and beautiful. And it's not to to puff me up to say, oh, look at me, look at what I'm doing. But I'm excited about the seeds that I'm planting in their life, because one day they're going to look back at that and be like, I remember when Miss Scott did this poem with me, and she said this, and this about me. And I was able to speak in front of people about who I am. Do you know the power that that's going to produce in those girls' life to maybe say, I want to be a speaker, or maybe I want to be a doctor, or maybe I want to travel the world helping people. So we have to be aware that the things that we do, the things that we say, our words form our reality. And the best way to do that is work in the very area that you're struggling in. I had to work in that area of speaking to young girls and not thinking I was beautiful, not thinking I was smart enough. God said, okay, well, I'm going to allow you to be a teacher. The one area that I was like, I'm not smart enough to be a teacher. And I was like, no, yes, you are. Because going back to what you said, how do you fight through that, right? That means that when I'm working with that little boy that's 6 years old, or that little girl that's just not understanding what I'm teaching, I can understand because I was that little girl. I was that little girl that was like, this doesn't make sense. So in that way, I'm fighting through it. I'm beginning to understand. I think one of the things that you say to me, Megan, is like, do it scared. Like, just do it. Just do it scared. Because when you do it scared, it makes you say, you know what? Even though I'm scared, I'm going to try. Because you don't want to look back later at what you did and be like, man, I could have did X, Y, and Z. But because I was so fearful of what people will say and think of me, I didn't do it. Even right now, the last thing I want to say with that is you saying, how do you fight with it in present time, right? Even doing this interview, being Facebook Live, like going, like looking in my hair, like, oh God, like look at my nose, like, you know, I'm dealing with all those things that are coming against me. But you know what? Every time I do it, every time I get in front of people and I speak, every time that I tell my story, I'm doing it scared, which is making me stronger. It's building that muscle of endurance to say, I got this. Not only do I have it, God has my back. And if he be for me, who can be against me, you know?
Right. Absolutely. That's wonderful. And when I think, when you were talking, when we talk about fighting, fighting your way towards purpose, purpose is all about someone else. It doesn't benefit you. It benefits other people.
Yeah.
It benefits someone else. So you have to overlook yourself. You have to kind of, like I always tell people, get over yourself, right? You have to get over yourself. And think about, hey, it's not about me. So what you did, you said, man, this sucks. Like that seed that was planted in when I was a child. Yeah. Okay. That sucks. But I'm going to get over myself and I'm going to reverse it for someone else. I'm going to make sure they know they're loved. I'm going to make sure that they know they're beautiful. I want to make sure that they know that they have a purpose and they're here on this earth to do something significant. So you just flipped it. You flipped the script. Basically, you flipped the script and you're using it for the benefit of others. And that's what it's all about. So what we do all have to do is scared. You know what I mean? You do the best that you can and let God do the rest, and he gets the glory. But we do have to do it scared, and we all have to continue to fight towards our purpose, you know? So no, this is awesome. So is there a vision for this book? Is there something that you're adding on to it? Or, you know, I know you released some videos and some interviews. So what's going on with that so the people can know?
Yes, thank you, girlfriend. Tag, yes. So I did one interview with a friend, some people that chose to allow me to interview them. And it's two wonderful women. You can go back on my Facebook page and look at it later if you choose to. And they talked about their own story, right? And I also interviewed some men. That interview will be coming soon. And they even talked about their insecurities. So the vision of my book is to be going back to speaking words into the atmosphere. Your words form your reality. To have that crazy faith to believe that the one thing that I never thought I would be able to do, God is like, I'm preparing you even now. And so with that vision comes being able to go places and speak to people about what I've been through. Even to use this same book with my girls at my conferences and how it relates to them and how they can get over insecurities to get to purpose. Because I want them to know that, hey, yeah, you may feel a certain way about yourself, but that doesn't mean you can't get to where you want to be. That person that you see on TV that you aspire to be like, that's cool, that's great. But how do you become your own person? How do you become the person that people look at and say, I like her, I want to be like her or him, right? And then with that, just continuing to speak out about what I went through so people can heal. Like you said earlier, that purpose is not about us, right? It's about the other person.
Right.
If you think about anything that was invented, anything that was made, a person didn't necessarily do it because they wanted it. They saw a need, right? They saw that people needed something that they needed to use. One main thing would be medicine, right? There's so many cancers. There's cancer out there, so people want to create a medicine or even a vaccine with COVID that will help people. It's for somebody else. I'm pretty sure the first person. I don't know who the person was, but when they invented a car or a phone or a computer, it was like, oh my gosh, how can we make people connect? How can it become easier for people to transport things? It was for someone else. So when I think about my book and I think about how it relates to somebody else, even if I never hear the stories, how do I create in that man who feels like they're not good enough to start that school, that man that feels like, you know what, how can I lead my family? No, you can lead your family. Or that woman that says, you know what, I want to go back to school, but I'm just scared. Or that woman that says, hey, I've been divorced and I want to do this and this. Yes, you can. Move that insecurity out the way, because some of the most beautiful stories, and it may be because I'm a teacher, that I've heard are about women and men that went back to school that may have had, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 kids, but it was their children pushing them, but they were afraid, like, can I afford it? Can I do this? And it was like, because of that, their children benefit from that. And they were like, my mom did this. She became a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever the case may be. If my mom can do it, I can do it. So as people look at my book, I want them to say to themselves, you know what? I have purpose inside of me. And this purpose is not just for me. It's not about being glorified and put on a pedestal, but it's about how can you help somebody else? How can you help somebody get to purpose and not just stay in that insecurity? If you see somebody needing water, you're not hopefully going to just slap them and say, hey, I'm not going to give you water. You're going to say, hey, here's some water, drink it, right? So that's the same thing with this book. I want to offer that to people through speaking at different events, by holding my conference with my young girls, or even with women and men, to help them get to a better place.
No, that's amazing. And that's something that came to my mind while you were talking. Even for you, when you wrote the book, you're leaving your legacy and your words in the earth, even 10 thousands of years from now, right? Some young brown skinned girl or brown skinned boy or whoever may pick up the book 200 years from now, right? And say, and read your book and get so encouraged, and they had some dream in their heart that they wanted to be the next president or something, right? And they read your book and they're just like, I can do it. And they become that. And I say that as an example, but you never know how impactful your words are, not just for today, but for the next generation and for those generations to come. So it's super important that we, get healed from our insecurities so that we can be a benefit and leave a legacy and leave some fruit on the earth for those coming behind us, right? Yeah. So that's awesome. That's so awesome. So where can people, well, let's back up. When is the book going to be released? Where can they get it? And how can people connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So right now you can pre-order the book, okay? The link has been posted all on my Facebook, and there's a first group of people who I've sent out their first batch of books. I'm excited about that. So you can pre-order it now. Also, too, along with that, the official release date will be September the 25th. Woo! September the 25th. When you go purchase that book, you can go to arioproducts.bigcartel.com. That is my online bookstore, my own personal online bookstore, where you can go and purchase the book. And also, too, if you want to find me on Facebook and Instagram, it's just at Ariel Scott.
Awesome. Yes. So Ariel, are there any last minute encouraging words that you want to leave the people, whether they're trying to get over their insecurity to write a book or move in purpose? What would you want to leave with the people today?
Yes, absolutely. I think the last thing that I want to leave is a picture, right? So I work with kids and I have to create these beautiful, elaborate pictures for them to be drawn in, right? And so I would say, for anybody that says to themselves, you know what? I love looking at the beautiful full trees in the summer, but right now I look like a sad, still tree in the winter. Which one would you rather be? That full, beautiful tree with all of its leaves looking healthy? Or would you prefer to look like that tree that's dying, that tree that nobody looks at, that tree that people say, oh my gosh, did it rot out? Well, if you're that person, I know that's big, but if you're that person that's like, I want to be full, start to acknowledge who God created you to be. And that first thing it does, like I said, acknowledging the fact that you have insecurities is not attractive. It's not cute. Nobody wants to say that out loud, right? But the moment you acknowledge it and say, I want to get to a healthy place where God has me, God will begin to open. Even with my own testimony, once I started to acknowledge that and be okay with saying some of the things that I never wanted to say before, God began to open up more doors of opportunity for me to walk in, because then he was like, okay, now you have the courage to be able to do that. The word of God says that he has commanded us to be bold. He didn't ask, he didn't say maybe, he commanded us. And so when I think about that command and what God has given me, it's a great commission to go out and say, you can do this, you will do it, but you have to rely on God. In the book, I have scriptures about overcoming certain types of insecurities, and those insecurities can be for anybody. So my prayer is that as people are reading through the book and they get through that part, they'll have the word that they can rest on to say, I'm going to use this word today. Like you said, that it's a reoccurring thing. Like I got on Facebook Live and I was like, I don't really like the way I look right now. But it's about the enemy is really strategic on how he tries to plant seeds of insecurities and seeds of doubt, seeds of fear. But the moment we get over those things and we walk into what God has for us, God begins to illuminate even more. Lastly, when I think about, like you said, being a president, I think about Barack Obama, and he was our first Black president, right? Yeah, he was mixed, but he was Black. He's Black, right? When I think about him, I think about the very first time he realized that, hey, I can speak in front of people. Hey, I can acknowledge X, Y, and Z. And maybe somebody planted a seed in his life and said, you should be the next president. And he probably wasn't even thinking about it. Maybe he was. I don't know. But the more and more he spoke, the more and more he began to cast his vision, the more and more he fought through, I'm pretty sure some insecurities, it came to life. Right. So if you're a person wanting purpose to come into your life, if you're wanting to move past this place of stagnation, get the book so you can get there. It's not just about insecurities, but it's about how purpose fuels our life.
Wow. Well, I hope y'all got that. That's straight from the author. Make sure you guys go support Ariel with her new book, The Plague of Insecurities. You can go to her online store at arielproducts.bigcartel.com. Like she said, it's going to be officially released on September 25th. So we're super excited for Ariel. And if you are here and you're like, you know what, it's time. It's time for me to get over insecurity. It's time for me to get over fear. It's time for me to write my book. Reach out to us. Reach out to us at Joseph's Ministry, LLC.com. We want to work with you. We want to walk with you through the process so that you too can be able to shed light and to share your journey and to leave a legacy in the earth, as we've been talking about this afternoon. So contact us at josephsministryllc.com. We're just going to have a consultation call to kind of see where you are, and we can just go from there. But thank you guys so much for joining us. We're super excited. I'm very proud of Ariel for this great accomplishment. So guys, one way to thank her is to go out and buy her book right now. Do it now. Do it now. It's going to bless people, and it will definitely bless you. So Ariel, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We look forward to your events coming up with your nonprofit and all the wonderful things that God has in store for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.